This is the Washington Week Webcast Extra.
Hello and welcome to the Washington Week Webcast Extra. I'm joined around the table by Peter Baker of the New York Times, Jeanne Cummings of the Wall Street Journal, and Tumulty of the Washington Post. The president made history this week as he hiked melting glaciers, met with native fishermen and women, and talked climate change, all the while becoming the first sitting president to set foot on the Alaskan Arctic. Is this part of the president's legacy lap, Peter?
It's part of his legacy lap and his bucket list at the same time. Obviously, he's focused a lot on climate change for the rest of the year. He's got this international treaty that they're talking about finalizing in Paris, and Alaska provides a picture-perfect backdrop to talk about these issues. The glaciers that he went to visit have begun shrinking dramatically. The towns and the people he met with are seeing the impact in a very real way that people here in the East Coast or in the West Coast may not be seeing yet, and it allowed him to make his argument. It also gave him a chance to see a part of the world that he'd like to see before leaving office.
Was it his 50th state, I think?
No, he's done his 50th state earlier in the year. He did South Dakota because he was counting Alaska as these stops at Elmendorf Air Base on his way to and from Asia. This is the first real trip to Alaska as president. But he went to Africa earlier this year, his parents' home country, father's home country of Kenya. He stopped at Stonehenge while he was in Britain earlier this year, stopped the helicopter, said, let's go see Stonehenge, and said, cross that off my bucket list. So he's got a few more, I think, to come in the next 18 months.
There's a lot to be said for being president and not running for election again.
Not too bad.
Why not do all the things you want to do and do the big copter? Okay, I want to move on back to politics a little bit because it's been very interesting to watch all of the things that are happening around the center. We spend a lot of time focused on Donald Trump, focused on Hillary Clinton, but meanwhile, there's quite a robust, it's been a fun summer, but now it's about to get real. But let's talk about Joe Biden a little bit more. We talked about him a little bit during the broadcast, but let's talk about the path that some of these candidates have. Now, we know what Hillary thinks her path is. We know what I don't know what Donald Trump thinks his path is. I think he thinks he just keeps talking and keeps winning, which so far is working. But let's talk what Joe Biden's path would be. He's run twice before. He did not win. And this time he would have to take on Hillary Clinton, which is not a small thing.
Well, if you look at his past, he came in 5th in Iowa. He has no machine out there to create a caucus. If you look at New Hampshire, that was Bill Clinton's comeback state and Hillary Clinton's comeback state.
That's true.
And Bernie Sanders could do very well in New Hampshire, too, so not a lot of room for Biden. Biden's people indicate South Carolina might be a stronger starting point for him. This is basically Rudy Giuliani's strategy, and we don't have him as president. If the two split, Bernie and Hillary split, that might give him room. But if Hillary wins 2 and then goes towards South Carolina, she could be a hurricane coming at him. So, and it also is no guarantee you could win South Carolina because the African-American vote down there is dominant. They're As Karen has noted, many have not endorsed, but back in 2007, there were many black lawmakers from the South who said to Hillary Clinton, and the Clintons, yeah, I'm sorry, but I got to be with Obama this time. And they're going to be calling in those debts.
What do you think is this a case where Joe Biden, who we see sounding so outwardly sad, and his staff or his boosters are on different pages?
It's a mix, actually. I think that there are clearly some people around him who are gung-ho, let's go. Joe, right, why not? You were the vice president for the last 18 years. You were loyal to Barack Obama. You helped put in his agenda. Why shouldn't you be the one to defend it and carry it forward? And then I think there's some others around him who care a great deal about him and think he probably ought not to run, but are worried about telling him that as overtly as that, and they're kind of sort of letting him kind of test the waters and sort of feel his own way to a conclusion where they hope he doesn't run for his own sake, for his family's sake, and so on. But recognizing that just simply telling him no might not get him there.
On the Republican side, Karen, one of the person I'm kind of keeping an eye on because he seems to be bubbling up here and there is John Kasich. John Kasich is the governor of Ohio. Obviously, he was a former House Budget Chairman. He's got apparently a very engaging campaign style on the road. Is anyone taking him more seriously, less seriously? Is the debate a lot running on him in the debate?
He did pretty well in the last debate, I think, and he's also got an interesting niche here. He's running essentially as as somebody who's running on his own record in government, which
What is this? This governing thing you speak of. What is
it's
that?
the antithesis of the Donald Trump outsider strategy. You know, we'll see, but there is I was just talking to one of his advisors yesterday, and they say that he is absolutely determined in this next debate that he is not going to be drawn into whatever kind of back and forth is going on among the candidates attacking each other, that he actually expects this time he could be the target of some of these attacks, but that he wants to project this sort of optimistic, you know, his vision for the country and his record.
That's
Sounds
what
like
Jeb thought he was trying to do.
Right,
He
but
truly
he's a
is.
different. His last name's not Bush.
Yeah.
He's not under attack right now. So if you think of the Republican Party primary as two different primaries, the one who will be the establishment candidate and one who will be the outsider candidate, right? It's Kasich against Jeb. If Jeb Bush fails to sort of convince the party, Kasich thinks he might be able to be the guy who steps forward and says, I'm the guy, I'm a big battleground governor, take a chance on
The
me.
downside to Kasich's strategy is it's a one-state strategy
Yeah.
so far.
Which
He's got to
means-
win New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Everything's in New Hampshire. It's like I sent a reporter up and her lead was, you'd think he's running for governor of New Hampshire.
Well, that's where he's on the air, and that's where his numbers have gone up.
And it's where he travels.
And if you assume that Scott Walker was the odds-on favorite in Iowa, and he was another middle of the country governor, that made sense. But if Scott Walker appears to not be doing as well as expected, maybe there's another opportunity. I know. This is the
And
fun
there
part.
was a Des Moines Register poll out. The Des Moines Register we all watch very closely because it's the gold standard of Iowa. And Scott Walker has gone from being the front runner to being, you know,
Fifth?
way far back in the dust.
Yeah, which is remarkable in such a short amount of time. Well, we'll be watching all of that, and so will you, I hope. Thanks for watching. While you're online, check out everything else our panelists are covering in news you need to know every day at pbs.org/Washington Week. And we'll see you next time on the Washington Week Webcast Extra.